Good morning, students. Welcome to online learning class. Today we are going to learn 6.1 The Revolt of 1857. Yesterday we learned about the struggle for freedom that the Industrial Revolution had made some European countries very rich and powerful. These countries started enslaving other countries in Asia and Africa. India was at that time ruled by the Mughals, who had become very weak. The country was divided into many small kingdoms whose rulers kept fighting with each other. The Britishers took advantages of this situation and they were able to bring India under their rule. They ruled over India for about 200 years. They drained away our wealth to England and made India a poor country. Many Indians stood up against the injustice of the British. After a long struggle and many sacrifices, India won back her freedom on 15th August 1947. Many hundred years ago, India was a very rich country. It was known for its cotton, silk, handicraft, and spices. It had good trade with other countries. See, children, the Indian Mutiny of 1857 to 59 was a widespread but unsuccessful rebellion against the rule of British East India Company in India, which functioned as a power on behalf of the British Crown. The revolt, it was the first expression of organized resistance against the British East India Company. It began as a revolt of the sepoys of the British East India Company's army, but eventually secured the participation of the masses. The revolt is known by several names. The Sepoy Mutiny by the British historians, the Indian Mutiny, the Great Rebellion by the Indian historians, the Revolt of 1857, the Indian Insurrection, and the First War of Independence by Vinayak Damodar Savarkar. Causes of the revolt: political cause, British policy of expansion. The political causes of the revolt were the British policy of expansion through the doctrine of lapse and direct annexation. A large number of Indian rulers and chiefs were dislodged, thus arousing fear in the minds of other ruling families who apprehended a similar fate. Rani Lakshmibai's adopted son was not permitted to sit on the throne of Jhansi. Satara, Nagpur, and Jhansi were annexed under the doctrine of lapse. Jaipur, Sambalpur, and Udaipur were also annexed. The annexation of Awadh by Lord Dalhousie on the pretext of maladministration left thousands of nobles, officials, retainers, and soldiers jobless. This measure converted Awadh, a loyal state, into a hotbed of discontent and intrigue. Doctrine of lapse. The notable British technique called the doctrine of lapse was first perpetrated of Lord Dalhousie in the late 1840s. It involved the British prohibiting a Hindu ruler without a natural heir from adopting a successor, and after the ruler died or abdicated, annexing his land. To those problems added the growing discontent of the Brahmins, many of whom had been disposed of their revenues or had lost lucrative positions, social and religious cause. The rapidly spreading Western civilization in India was alarming concern all over the country. An act in 1850 changed the Hindu law of inheritance, enabling a Hindu who had converted into Christianity to inherit his ancestral properties. The people were convinced that the government was planning to convert Indians to Christianity. The abolition of practices like sati and female infanticide and the legislation legalizing widow remarriage were believed as threats to the stabilized social structure. Introducing Western methods of education was directly challenging the orthodoxy for Hindus as well as Muslims. Even the introductions of the railways and telegraph was viewed with suspicion. In rural areas, peasants and zamindars were infuriated by the heavy taxes on land and the stringent method of revenue collection followed by the company. Many among these groups were unable to meet the heavy revenue demands and repay their loans to money lenders, eventually losing the lands that they had held for generations.